All right, so we'd like to open the meeting of the Capital Improvement Committee for January 24th, 2019. It's 1:10. First item on the agenda is to discuss the Munson Capital Improvement Plan. I don't know if anybody had anything else they wanted to add from our discussion last week.
I did have little things that I did notice on there, and I really got a chance to go through it. We're still $10,000 and up on our capital product, right? Because they did like weed whackers and for
Yeah,
$1,300
no,
bucks.
we're 10,000 or
Okay,
over.
so that's not, and then do we want to change to a similar numbering system, the way they did it with, like highway was like HWY 1, 2, 3, so that way when you put a big list together, it doesn't have to be department, it can just be that. I don't know how Matt's going off of this as much.
I would probably wait for Matt to
Yeah.
sort of comment on that, if you could, if we...
Yeah, I'll bring it
Get
back.
So
sidetracked?
they give each project a number, and it sticks with that project
Yeah.
for 5 or 10 years. till
Whatever
it's
it is,
done.
like water sewer was WS3,
That's a good idea.
cemeteries was
Read in
CEM 16, council on aging was COA 2. You know, there's all, every project had a number through there, because, I mean, even though they ranked them 1 through 20, it also means, you know, they can say, okay, well, this is gonna get funded, we're gonna try in this year, and it puts together a 5-year capital plan,
Mhm.
so
Okay.
that's all I had on that. And then Ellie did have her questions, maybe it's. or
Yeah, we can
comments.
go to Ellie's questions. I'm not sure, yeah, because some of it is comments on the Munson report. Ellie's thoughts on Munson, bottom.
Actually, she said her thoughts on the Munson's plan. I guess the whole thing is.
Right. Right, feasibility and engineering or design, suggest keeping design. You must be talking about their design. I do not support long-range plans to be included in capital requests. Water sewer does this. The town engineer has something as well. Professionals and the town's employees should be able to handle this. It depends on the scope of the work, I mean.
Well, I'll bring up an example that I've already discussed with John. The pavement management study we are gonna have done soon, or hoping to have done, is gonna be in the next 2 years required by Mass DOT to get us Chapter 90 funds. If that's not done by an outside firm and the report put together, we are not eligible for them funds anymore, so that's a perfect example of.
So it's not a
have to-
one-size-fits-all approach?
No,
It's gotta
exactly.
be, you gotta look at each thing individually, okay.
But haven't we always done a 5-year plan?
Capital code.
Well, I don't know what she's,
Or longer.
Yeah.
I think this. from
I mean,
what
when
Yeah.
I first got on the Board of Selectmen, actually, we required that everybody try to do a 5-year plan.
I think we actually had 10 at one point, 10
You
years.
did.
In an operation,
And I
one
think
time,
it's,
you did.
personally, I think it's a good idea,
Mm.
because you're projecting out that, you're making
So
you think
everyone,
about
there's no
what's
secrets, everyone
coming.
knows what's coming.
Well, you're
It's
thinking
not
far
hit.
ahead, too. You're
Yeah.
looking down the road, not just, day-tight
Right.
compartments or even a year.
And it's not like reacting to all of a sudden a
Yeah, why didn't we know
bad
about this?
situation.
An example is the police department, a new police department building. Now, we've been talking about that for 10 years. It hasn't happened yet, but
Right.
sooner or later, it's gotta come to fruition, but.
Yeah.
So I guess the question, or the comment would be, it would depend on the situation. I mean, even water sewer lines, if you're gonna look at economic development, you gotta think about whether you're gonna do water sewer
Mhm.
lines as well.
To me, a
So-
lot of what she's saying here is just about, like the town engineer has requests for something as well. The professionals in the town employee should be able to handle this. This is more of her saying like the MS4. Remember last year she had mentioned, why couldn't Bill just do the MS4 stormwater management? Why did we have to hire somebody? I think that's more of, she doesn't want us to hire someone for a study, the way it looks. She wants us to do it in-house. That's how I take that.
But the way I look at that is, you need more than just one pair of eyes. It's like us. No one of us, if we don't have a committee of one, the more, no one of us is as smart as all of us. I can't think of everything.
Right.
In the same with projects of mine, having someone oversee it, I don't know the variables on what the new code is that just came out and all that, I have to hire
Mhm.
someone to do that.
Plus the areas of expertise, right? Structural engineering.
Exactly.
Right.
Mechanical engineering, yeah.
Yeah,
All right, and then, paragraph 2, Munson's capital request has a minimum amount of 1,000. Well, we already said it's 10,000.
well, she's saying that seems reasonable.
Mention also use of water and sewer enterprise fund as well as ambulance receipts. Improve what is expected of these funds, not operational capital. That's above our pay grade. We don't decide that. That's up to the selectmen and people above us. Doesn't matter to me if ambulance receipts go towards the general fund as long as I get the staff and the equipment I need.
Yeah, that's just the,
Actually, it makes my job easier. I don't have to keep track of 2 accounts.
We're waiting for that.
It's all about you, chief.
No, I'm
I think you're stuck with me for a little bit.
I could really go on.
No,
A long way out.
They have
But-
trees they're
but
watching.
I
I've
always
also
stand
wondered-
up for you.
So, yeah, so that's once again, it's not a one-size-fits-all
Right.
approach. We have to look at what's best for the town overall. Something about the URL has information about Douglas.
not available. How many
Not
businesses
available.
we have?
Why isn't that on the website? I'm not really sure. Hello, Mr. Administrator.
Mr. Chairman?
We're just briefly going over, Ellie had some questions she typed up. We're just sort of throwing things out there and having, sort of a discussion and see what, so far what we've come up with is, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And we gotta look at
Yeah, I thought, go ahead.
things collectively, in situations and requests. Let's see, what else? I don't know.
She has,
About
Monson has
Wi-Fi.
more than 100 businesses.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I think she's
unfortunately,
just
we
saying-
don't have.
Right.
Yeah, she's trying to compare, I think the report to us is what I'm doing on that one.
We haven't come up with the Douglas vehicle summary yet. We have a lot of stuff written down and the age
I
of
mean, we
the
can
vehicles.
certainly get that from each department. That's not a
That's it.
huge
Well,
undertaking.
We disclose to Maya every year all of our vehicles.
True enough.
Sure.
So we
With
have-
the ages of them and things like that, correct?
It might have some very basic registration information.
Yeah,
The year of the
model.
vehicle,
Yeah,
model,
yeah,
make.
yeah.
All right, and there was a comment about Munson and 400 students. Is she trying to say they have 400 more students? I'm not sure. Free cash is available for appropriation for municipal purpose.
True.
Don't know why that's there.
Districts are limited to 1 project per year under the major repair program. Not sure that always fits when you have things that are run into the ground.
No, the major repair program is MSBA, Massachusetts School Building Authority.
Oh, okay, all right, yep, I missed that part. Okay, good. So,
I believe you have to apply,
Yeah,
qualify,
yes.
and you can't count on there always being there.
Right.
It's competitive, in other words.
And there has to be a certain number of years in between
Yes.
projects too. There's restrictions. when-
Right.
Yeah.
And does it require, it has to be financed, right? So is it a bond qualified project or
Well, it would have to be well funded in some way.
funded in some
We don't have
way?
the cash to
Right.
do a
Right, for
project
us, it
that.
would be that way,
Yeah.
so.
So I don't know what she's,
And all our buildings, except for the primary school. But the other buildings are fairly new.
If the question is, can the school department identify a project that might qualify, and if there is aid available from the state, do they have any plans to do that? That's a valid question, I don't have the answer to.
right, right.
We could certainly ask that when they're here presenting their capital plan.
Absolutely. Confusing for lower the dependence of free cash for capital plan than use free cash for supplementing the capital plan.
There's nothing confusing about it. So if you're financing all of your capital through free cash, then you are dependent upon free cash
Right.
for capital. So if you have no free cash, you have no capital.
Right.
What Munson and other communities are doing is every year as operational, I shouldn't say operational, every year general revenues are raised, they are allocating that to capital and supplementing the capital when free cash is available.
Right, okay, so
Or
if you
rolling
have a
free
little
cash forward.
shortfall, you have a little bit more project that need to be done, then you would supplement it through free cash, that makes sense. Which is sort of what we're doing with the override, a little bit.
Yeah, but Mike, I think we're gonna need, if we don't already have one from strategic budget, a free cash policy.
We do, we'll have to look at it. We do have one.
It probably needs to be updated to reflect
Mhm.
priorities.
And then there's a question about water sewer. Is it all paid for with water sewer enterprise fund?
We do have a
Douglas water
sewer
sewer.
treatment plant that's split between the town and the rate users, and that's 75 town, 25 rate users, and that's for the sewer plant. That decision was made prior to me, so I don't know the history behind how they came up with the allocation. You
That's for
may-
when they expanded the sewer plant, that
Yeah.
project, right? Yeah, okay. All right.
I don't know if you remember the allocation
Methodology,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a tough word.
So it's similar with the ambulance receipts, it doesn't fully fund, it supplements.
Yeah.
And water
Well,
sewer
that
is
was
pretty much the
planned,
same.
though. That was a planned split. It wasn't because of a funding source.
Right.
There could be a million reasons. They may
Yeah.
not have had the funds in reserve
Yeah.
to legitimize the borrowing, but the extra bay was needed.
Mhm.
Was that the addition of a third bay, or was it
That was a whole new,
Right.
a
whole new
treatment
treatment plant.
Yeah.
That was probably 20 years ago
Oh,
now.
yeah, oh, yeah, it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no way you might have been able to. swing
15
that with the
anyway, 'cause I
customer base
remember
that you
when-
had
Yeah.
at the time,
Yeah,
so.
right.
It was done
When they
before
were-
I
That was
yeah.
before I was in
Steam
charge of the
And there
highway.
weren't that many that were serviced, so, I know there was a big to-do about the people who were on their own septic systems. And then, to have the town be, townspeople being put into that. So I think that's where that came into, but still people were upset. I have to pay to have my septic system pumped. And then there was another fee for having it put into a treatment plant in Worcester or whatever. So, and it's still that way, yeah. But, yeah, there was a couple of votes on that part.
Hmm. So did anybody else have any other comments on the Munson report or any suggestions on what we take out of it?
Matt here, I'd like to bring up the, when we talked about, do we want to use their system with the project number system that they use like this? Is it something you were interested in? It doesn't matter to us, but I mean, like, cemetery has, their projects listed, and then they flip them into where they fall. If this is something you wanted to do, that's all I brought that up,
Yeah,
But it
yeah,
keeps,
so
It is a
every
great way
project
to
should have
track
a
it.
unique identifier just so I can sort it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just going through and just say highway and then we have no number,
Right,
it
right.
doesn't. Okay.
all right. Anything else to add on that?
My call, when I went through here, it's very kind of nebulous as far as certain things go, like the vehicles. So, do we have a mechanism whereby we're tracking the mileage on these vehicles as they fuel up? I just kind of out of curiosity, because it's very easy to export that data into a sort of a cost per mile basis, and then be able to see what the useful life of that vehicle is. You trade some vehicles so that one vehicle's putting more mileage, pull that one back. supplement it with another one to kind of maximize the useful life of those vehicles. I just was
The
curious.
only way I can say we track them is more oil changes and maintenance. more
That's
than-
what I was gonna say.
More than, fueling up.
So the mechanism whereby they fuel up is, they fuel up at the transportation department? Is that where they?
At the highway, we have a 300-gallon tank. We fuel our own vehicles for
Okay.
diesel.
Okay,
Gasoline, we go across the street to the Family Fuels.
and we use some sort of a,
We have a charge there,
oh, we do, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so we pay retail for gasoline. The police department pretty much exclusively uses Beck's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sutton.
Well, they have
And
keys for
truck.
24/7 now.
Now, in their case, the chief and the lieutenant were talking to me yesterday about they're going to use a rotation system. They're gonna start tracking mileage by
Sure.
cruiser and trying to balance it out so that things are
Certainly.
aging together. The proposal coming from the department, and this is more of an operational, the town's always expensed police cruisers and put them in capital.
Mhm.
They're going through a model year change and a major configuration change for the
Sure.
20. It is really a mess for us, because we typically transfer equipment out of a cruiser and put it into the new one, because it still fits, it's a Ford.
Right,
This is the last model year we'll be able to do that. So the thought is, if we accelerate one purchase, we had a cruiser totaled, so more or less we replaced it.
sure.
We had one in the plan, or one or two in the plan. So we're basically, if we add one more to the budget this year, we will have 6 cruisers that are less than 2 years old, and wouldn't need to replace anything until fiscal '24. There's a lot of sense to do that. It's gonna save the taxpayer money, because we'll be able to take the equipment out of the old cruisers and put it into the 19s. When the 20 model year flips over, we won't be able to do that. That does 2 things. One, when we do go back in '24 to start replacing cruisers again,
Mhm.
we have to build in the fact that we're not gonna save any money by bringing equipment.
Right,
The other reason why this is attractive to me is because the 20 model year is going to be a 4-cylinder turbo, which, could be junk, and we don't really wanna be anybody's beta test.
The first year.
yeah,
And it's gonna have a heavy hybrid component. It's not necessarily a plug-in hybrid, but
braking kind
a
of system.
4-cylinder turbo that's gonna charge up a really big battery pack, that's a risk. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
If you've ever driven a 4-cylinder turbo, they're fun, but they don't.
well, they
don't last.
have units now that you can, that generate power off of the braking, and then it gives you the fuel efficiency, because from a dead stop, it becomes electric, and then it tricks back over into fuel.
Yeah,
And those units are in their second, third generation now. They're still not perfect, though.
yeah.
And I would hate to put that into a emergency
Yeah,
vehicle.
To me, it's
cruiser's
like
a high-stress vehicle.
Buying the ambulance like we did the first year when they had DEF fluid. I have had nothing but problems.
Yeah,
So while it's not capital, there is this plan to do it. Now, with the other fleets, really, every vehicle may have its own unique purpose. You probably
Yeah.
have some redundancy around your 1-tons,
Yeah, 2 of those.
and you can rotate those around. But
Mhm.
really, everything else is specific. The way you run your engines, it's really born to us by age, right?
It's age, but as I was writing my narrative today, it's also job. You think about the fact that 70% of our homes are out of the water district. Well, you want a tanker that can move water, and you could either, and you also want an attack engine, and you want a second-due piece, and a second-due engine. And you want a ladder. So you sort of have to have those 4 items as pretty much your frontline apparatus. You could say that one of those engines is more or less not reserved, but it's not a real high priority to get there. Or when an engine's out mutual aid, you still have another engine in a bay that covers it. The other thing you can do with your with your tanker is have a pumper tanker. So it's set up to do both, which is what the tanker we have is, but it's a commercial cab versus custom, so you can only move two guys with it. And it's, so you sort of handcuff yourself, you know? So, anyway, that's really about it with that, but, so you have job-specific pieces of equipment. Then you have your brush stuff that's for off-road.
Yeah.
And your annuals.
So I was kind of leaning towards more, there are programs now where you can get everybody on a card. The card, because you're buying it all through a third party, you can get some discounts off of it, but it also helps you track all the vehicle maintenance and mileage. So when the person gasses up, they have to punch in their mileage. When they have a unit oil change, they have to put that into, and it becomes this real user-friendly data sheet that tells you exactly how much money you're spending. And you see the cutoff of, you know, a 5-year-old vehicle versus a 10-year-old vehicle, right? So that was just a thought.
You're singing my music, I've been,
Yeah,
since I
he's been
started, one of
talking
the
that
first
for
things I said
a year
when
and
I
a half
started
ago.
here, we have a fuel management system, can we do that? So I don't wanna speak out of school, but I think what we've talked about is maybe at sometime between now and the 5-year time horizon, we should at least propose a DPW, a highway building that is suitably arranged to handle a fuel depot for all of our
Sure.
emergency vehicles. And I just think the savings alone from going from retail, we'll get a little bit of a break from the vendor, but it's nowhere,
Right.
you know, the Cumberland Farms card
No.
doesn't do it
No, yeah.
compared to what we could do in the open market and through the procurement process. So, but, you know, we have to be respectful of watershed districts and zoning and the other things, so in all honesty, it would have to be indoors or at least under a roof, and there would have to be a reservoir system built under the tanks so that we would be in
Yes,
compliance.
there's no leaching.
And as vehicles get changed at the highway, we've noticed that vehicles are bigger. Our garage doesn't get any bigger. The bottom trucks, from the garage from 1935 is still, I mean, we've taken our older trucks, cut headboards down and lowered them so we can get them in the garage. Because we
Wow.
can't fit any more vehicles. The new style can't go down front. There's nothing we can do with them. So this is gonna be a big topic coming up.
If we get a new big truck this year, we're gonna be scratching our head what we're gonna do.
We have vehicles that are angled and parked in funny directions to try to get everything inside. Our backhoe sits outside, our grader sits outside
Wow.
right now, and it's, you know, it's sad because our backhoe's a 2011.
15.
15, oh, the new one, yeah, okay. So 2015, and it's sitting outside.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just how it works. The equipment gets bigger and better and more, and rated for more, but you can't do anything with it.
The only other question that I had after going through this and just seeing what I see, that old building for the school, can't that be reconstituted into perhaps, I don't know, the police station or?
We thought about that, but now it's an ADA compliance
I
thing.
got you.
No, which one now? Are you talking about?
Grandma's food.
The
Grammar
abandoned
school?
school, yeah,
The grammar school is a good building with good bones
absolutely.
and a
It's a
nice
spooky
roof,
building.
relatively new roof. Yeah, spooky in a
Exactly.
way.
That's what we call it at home.
Yeah. My personal view is it's an asset that we're kind of wasting by not using it. To retrofit it is not a trivial
No,
thing, so the question is, you know, how do you time that? How does it all fit together with the rest of the capital plan?
sure.
I think I've asked any number of police chiefs. I haven't really had a long conversation with our chief about it. This was research I did in the past. Where do you hit that break point where you need another cruiser on the road? Because that's probably when we need to have a discussion about whether or not the capacity of this building is sufficient for the police department.
Yeah.
Once you go 3 on the road, you know, you've got staff inside, and that's really where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. You know, at that point, having a building that's in pretty decent shape, you might save a couple $1 million just because it's standing.
Right.
But a police station with modern amenities that are fully compliant with the safety requirements, and that's a $6 million proposition. You can save 2 off of that because you have a structure already. 4 might be a digestible piece, but it needs to be thought through very
Yeah.
carefully.
Now, it was 2003 when they re-roofed that, correct? So
It's a
it's
15
16-year-old roof
It's a
now.
15-year roof or a 20-year roof, I have to check.
And then when they
that.
did the connector road and they linked all those projects together, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly, but I think that was '03.
I'm not sure of the date.
But it is a beautiful building. If you, like you said, if you go inside,
The shell is definitely sound. It's the
Yeah.
interior that needs some work with the lead paint and, but it's good.
It's a blank canvas.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
you
just
don't
got
have a
good
lot of
bones.
legacy electricity or anything. It's all knob and tube, but it'll come out pretty nice and quick,
Yeah.
because there's not much of it.
thinking about that, Upton's police station was a converted school. They converted it from a school.
Oh, yeah.
It was the Ball School. It's right in front of the new fire station. I don't
It's a
know if
nice
that's
building.
I don't know if that's a hole you want to explore at some point, but somebody over there's got some history on it.
Mhm.
I just like the old grammar school because that basement really is a dungeon.
Mhm.
So you can put people in the
That's
dungeon.
why we had Jim in there.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, it was Jim in the winter.
How many trainings did we have down there?
Oh, my gosh.
But, yeah.
I guess it's a matter of whether the square footage would be adequate, and it seems like it would be. I mean,
Well, you
just-
gotta think, because they would still be able to utilize part of this building
Yeah.
for storage and other
Right.
things. It's more about having a comfortable workspace, and they're
Right.
pretty jammed in down there now with 2 on the road. It's probably, that IMC station, the 911 station, is the big clog up.
Jammed right up
Yep.
in there.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the only questions that I had.
So, do you like this template? Do you want me to try to
Yeah.
Actually,
I
do.
do.
massage it for Douglas?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
I thought it was good. Yeah.
It's definitely well thought out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty reputable,
I think it would pass muster with GFOA, and I just think, we'll have to do our own financial spreadsheets and everything else, but we'll do that
Jean,
anyway.
did you get a copy of that?
Matt's gonna send me one.
Oh, okay.
All right, good, so that's our discussion with the Munson Capital Improvement Plan. Item number 2 is discuss any changes to our evaluation criteria. And Matt gave us a number of documents last week. See if I have, might have a couple of these. I like this one here, priority 1, 2, and 3, but, see if I have,
But, if I may, Munson also has a capital planning evaluation criteria.
Yeah, they do.
which I thought
on
was
17 and 18, and just the questions.
Yeah.
pretty- Yeah,
Yeah,
That's what
I
I
like,
saw, too.
I like some of the questions.
Which, I did read a disclaimer in it, which kind of made me chuckle a little bit in the back. It said, it should be noted that they were not used rigidly in developing the FY 18-22.
yeah.
Which just throws everything out the window that you read.
Well, that's what I said, I mean,
This
it's-
is
Well, yeah,
always
but
criticized.
sometimes you
start.
have to.
Yeah, you do.
I
Exactly.
guess-
Depending on the funding and whatever,
Yeah.
you gotta,
I guess
Massage.
what I like simple. I'm a simple.
No,
Yeah, but that's, I hear what you're saying.
a lot of what they had in Munson though is the same as what we, for the most part,
What we
besides
were doing.
what we were
Yeah.
doing anyway,
Yeah,
you know?
so which one are you looking at, Ken?
I'm looking at this one
This
here,
one?
that's the
Yeah.
priority 1, 2,
Okay.
3, and 4. In other
Yeah.
words, priority 1's a must-do, corrects dangerous
Oh, I see.
to public health and safety, satisfies legal and statutory obligations and requirements, alleviates an emergency disruption or deficiency, prevents irreparable damage
Yeah.
to valuable public facility. And the other thing I liked is, and I think that should be, because if it's a public safety issue,
Mhm.
to me, it's a legal or a liability issue.
Mhm.
So I think that should be added on that one, on priority 1. Then I like the priority 2, essential, should do. And they only did priority 1 got 4 points, priority 2 got 3 points, priority 3 got 2 points, and priority 4 got 1 point. And they just sort of rated them that way. I mean, it's pretty straightforward,
It is, yeah.
but the question that I really like is, does the project reduce potential legal liability or threats to operations? Because for me, that's the type of stuff that affects my department, and that's the only reason why, you know.
So that's a question you want to add to it?
I would like to see that question added to at least that part. I think that's an important question, because I think we need to be candid with citizens. You know, there's public safety. I know some think it's just a catchphrase, but not when it's when your neck that's in the noose and you swing if there's a problem, when things go wrong. That's how I look at things, because, I might have an ambulance coordinator that says, well, I don't think we need to do this. Well, you're not the one that gets in trouble if something goes wrong. They don't call you, they call me. So that's why I take that as seriously as I do. But I think threats to operations is another good one, but that's more or less the same type of sentence. But that could apply to any department, If your generator doesn't work here, it's a threat to your operation, that type of thing, during a snowstorm or whatever. Or we lost heat during that -4, -10 storm last week, the ice storm, and that frigid cold snap.
Mhm.
Well, you got all kinds of apparatus and ambulances with drugs and IV solutions and things like that, and not to mention the structural part of the building and freezing pipes and bursting pipes.
Yeah.
It's a cascading effect real fast when you don't have heat. But that could be any building within the town, We saw what happened with the school, with the flood, so.
I don't
That's my
see
input.
that page you're looking at.
Yeah, that one's not there. Let me take a look at that. This is the one I'm talking
Yep,
about.
okay.
And then what I did was I took, in the priority one part, I took a question from, or actually one of the evaluation questions from the Munson report that I would add to that priority one first.
And which one was that?
Yeah.
If you go down on the Munson report, the second bullet, where it says capital planning evaluation criteria, the second bullet down, it starts with increased efficiency.
Okay.
Second line, the end, and then the beginning of the third line. That's the question I think is
Okay.
very important. And I like the example they use of the street sweeper.
Yeah.
Because if it breaks, if you wait to replace it, if it breaks first, you're probably not gonna get the trade-in value, right?
We wouldn't know about that.
No. But, anyway. Just a couple of things that I think are pretty important. With the evaluation part, anyway. And I would say those would probably be in the priority one section. But I think the second question I mentioned could probably fit any one of those 1, 2, 3, or 4s. But I'd like to hear other people's input, too, not just me.
Well, I'm very familiar with this type of a format, right? It's the data that you've compiled all through, and I think that it might behoove us to consider that trade-in value as another quotient in here, because that might be able to give you the most bang for your buck, let's say, right? Over the long term.
Yeah, I would say so. An example would be the defibrillators. We traded those, I think we got $500 a piece for an old defibrillator. And then when we traded in the CPR machine, we got a $5,000 credit for that, a trade-in value. So something that's a $15,000 unit,
Yeah.
and was, people were familiar with, and we were able to more or less say, well, you'll give us $5,000 for this? Okay, well, we have 10 grand, so
That worked.
that works for us.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody knows the question. We all know when we buy a passenger vehicle for our home use, the minute you drive it off the lot.
Right,
loses-
it depreciates, right?
Down, yep.
But is that true of a fire engine or a street sweeper or a loader?
I would say it's gonna lose some depreciation, not as much as a,
Yeah, I would say a street sweeper would probably lose a lot more because of the wear and tear. It's
the minute you,
Yeah.
The minute, but a fire engine, a lot of people look at them as, and they look at the low miles, the end, you know, they may not look at the fire engine as a one piece, they look at the motor, they look at the cab, the no rot because it's been inside.
And
That's
the
what they
pump.
look at, yeah, the pump. They look at stuff like the pieces they can take off. A street sweeper is like getting sandblasted as soon as it starts using it, you know.
So this is, you know, the kind of sophistication we want to build into the capital plan is you look at things that hold their value as trade-in candidates. Because in the long term, maintaining that asset may be much less expensive if you simply trade it in every 2 years because you're getting great value
Mhm.
back.
Right.
And then you're only paying that piece. If the value drops precipitously as
Yeah.
soon as you buy it, well, that's not a good candidate, especially if it's gonna get a lot of wear and tear.
Well,
So
my
identifying those assets would be key.
my
Like I-
loader now is a 2008, and I did get a quote for a new one, and they're offering 40,000 for a trade. It's pretty,
Wow.
and it's 10 years old.
Wow.
That's
Pretty good.
That's
pretty good money.
How much
Yeah.
is the new one?
177.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
not so painful.
Right,
You know.
it takes the pain out of it,
Mhm.
and so you're basically getting a new loader for 130.
Mhm.
So we just have to do some analysis, you know, what is that? We don't buy things on time, on installment, so, you know, you kind of, you don't have to factor that in.
But yet you take an ambulance, that's
It's
7
junk.
years old now,
It's junk.
it's junk, you get peanuts for it.
And it's the same with the
Yeah.
loader. There's some point in the next couple of years, it's gonna start costing us money and more on maintenance.
Sure.
We're getting to that.
Well, the last loader, we put a $14,000 engine in and got 15 grand for it, trade-in. So,
Yeah, let's never.
okay, you know, so I'm just
You've already
saying.
said it off the record,
Yeah.
I'll say it on the record,
Yeah.
let's never do that
Yeah.
again. But what would the candidates be? Loaders, backhoes? You know,
The
a Ford
fire,
tractor, a Ford tractor's, you don't have one right now, right? You
No.
don't have one cutting the side of the street.
No.
We-
But it does, those, they do hold that. value.
Oh, big time,
absolutely,
big
absolutely.
time. Yep.
Because they have multiple uses, and that's a good resale value at that point.
And you not so much.
Not with ambulances.
I mean, I think the key with the ambulance is if you get rid of it early enough before it costs you, it's a maintenance nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I look at an ambulance.
That's not our history, though.
No, I know, no,
No,
it's
because
not
you've
with
had
most
to
equipment. Look
using
at
it to
our,
keep-
look at our, we still have 97 trucks and 2,000
Right.
trucks, and, you know, I understand that, believe me.
It's gotten better.
It is,
Can't agree more.
absolutely.
Wasn't that long ago I was here with 78 trucks, if you remember.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
come a long way,
Well,
absolutely.
the override's gonna make a difference. It did already,
Mhm.
so.
All right. It's vehicles.
Now, how would you like to, I mean, I think for economic development wise, you know, water lines are important.
I was just gonna say, how do you want to handle this?
How do you want to handle that type of, that's a big matzo ball.
I almost wish, Mr. Chairman, you would invite some representation from the water, not just Bob, but the water commissioners themselves
Okay.
to a meeting. Because I'd like to hear their philosophy, what it is they think they need to do. You get a lot of main breaks. So, you know, it's almost like, it makes you feel better, you're doing something for economic development if you run a line down such and such a street. But if the main core of the system just keeps popping, then how good is that line really, and is it the best application of resources? But you want to secure your main core existing rate base first. It's a philosophical question, you know, if you have a chance to get a huge revenue boost, and it makes sense, you run the line, right? But if it's speculative versus what you already have,
And I think the last time they really replaced the large lines was when they put the high school in, they had to run
Sure.
water up there, and they went on Main Street, and I
All
think
the
they
way
went,
from Franklin
they
Street.
went from a 12 or a 16-inch main, which is great
so you're
when you're
pretty
down
new-
around the center. But you get
From
off
the water
in the
tank that comes
village
down
area
on-
and,
That's newer. I mean, it's not compared to probably the pipe, I'm gonna guess is probably 30s or 40s, if not earlier, that, some of these offshoots are.
Now, the new piece that went over the North Street Bridge, is it just new
It's just a
in
new
the
piece.
midst of?
Yeah,
roads?
yes,
All
exactly.
right.
It was just because we had the bridge shut down, and we know the interruption that causes this town, so it gave us a new piece from where we started to right into the
To the
intersection.
intersection.
So that way, if we ever had to change it from there, now we just go from there up, and we're not as
Okay.
disruptive.
A question?
Yep.
So, have you and the Board of Selectmen had some conversation with the water sewer department?
No, last year when we did our rating process, we came out with a water project as the number one. The first time.
Yeah.
It had been on for a long time, it had tremendous potential for the town, and then there was a financial possibility. So I think we were gonna split it 50/50.
Usually, that's how it works.
So that really took the price of it down, because some of it was coming from the enterprise fund. So it made it an attractive project using last year's rating system. This is what led to the rating system
Mhm.
discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We had a water pipe on top of it, and the brand new ambulance was like 10th.
No,
We didn't
I
have an ambulance
remember.
that was roadworthy, so you had to look at it again.
Right.
But
Again, projecting or looking at the needs of the community, has there, or shouldn't there be a discussion with the Board of Selectmen and the water sewer, and if need be, any other department?
yeah. There should be.
It's-
Writing it
It seems
down?
like a huge project when you look at it in its entirety, but if you look at it sectional by age or, I mean, because when you add, in any pressurized system, take a car, for example, and you fix the radiator, you're gonna spray, you don't change hoses, you're gonna spray leaks in the hose, right?
Right.
So you certainly wanna make sure that you have stayed on top of the other stuff so that that doesn't happen down the line.
And again, I think the main piece from the water tank down, which is new, once you take off the North Street piece and add it to the piece we just put in at the bridge, now we're new from, say, the water tank down Main Street, left on, once we change that piece on North Street to the bridge, now you're new all the way to there. Now it's Gilboa Street, which he's asked for, all the way to the mill, which now puts that on.
Because at the mill, from the mill down to the Dunkin' Donuts
Is
is
new,
new.
exactly, so now,
So,
I mean, he's replaced sections. I think the big piece is gonna be from Main Street at North Street down to the bridge, and then from the other side of the bridge, all the way down to the mill. So now,
Yeah.
and which is what he's asking, which is here, which is a big,
And that's the time you pave and do the drainage.
exactly. We make this a big
Without-
project.
Before, there were always times when got the road paved on
Yeah,
Main
and then-
Street and ended up digging it up again.
You know,
Yeah, it's a little bit of poor planning there.
Yeah,
well, to Shirley's point, the poor planning can be alleviated by the selectmen and
Communicating.
everybody coming together from all those departments that might use water, and
Yeah.
then it's
Talking to
important
each other.
Right, and what's water sewer got available, or what's their plan? And working with the selectmen.
That's a good
and-
point.
Yeah, because we can all be off on our own
Yeah.
little, yeah,
We're
we
rowing
need
in
this,
the
so we
opposite
had this
direction.
last year, but now we need to look again, and something else has come up, so, again, it's communication.
Absolutely. All right. Anyone have anything else to add on the changes to the criteria?
Are you- Evaluation tools you're talking
Yeah.
about?
Evaluation criteria.
So let's set a deadline for a draft and for making the evaluation sheets. You wanna meet next week, or can you give us 2 weeks?
You mean in 2 weeks?
Yeah. I could probably get all that done in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we can skip next week and go 2 weeks
Yeah,
out.
Yeah.
not having all the
I think I might be
documents.
busy next Thursday anyway, if I remember correctly.
And the departments have gotten their,
Yeah, the instructions went out
okay,
from the chief.
yep.
Mine may be late. Just interrupt it.
What?
They won't be here tomorrow. They won't be here tomorrow. I assure you that. It's been a busy, last week and a half, unfortunately.
I hear you. Which is why I said.
Yeah. I started it, but I have not got back to it.
Quite honestly, the hard deadline, the
Little
hard
tape in your-
stop is.
No,
November
don't
1st.
say it, let's
Just
leave
started
it.
That's
talking
right.
to my phone.
Well, just take notes.
This is pretty good. I'm just,
One of those
I like
things.
that, it's
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
That's what I like
Were you
about it.
plowing?
Yeah.
Need a police laptop.
I agree.
Just start typing.
Not typing, just
We
a little
got-
tape
We're
recorder.
gonna make them a new business card, right, Matt? We can fold that one more time.
Yeah, you can fold it one more.
I've got enough going on. Plenty, very much plenty. I had to read this book last night at home, trying to make sure I go through it all.
So,
Miss something.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
You wanna do Thursday,
so that's what, from the 1st to 7th?
So,
10th? Nope, I'm sorry, yeah, the 7th.
7.
Where I gotta go,
Yeah.
yeah, that day.
you
So
got
I
what?
should, I'll have a draft of the plan.
You got something that day, Ken?
No.
1
So why don't
o'clock
we do that? Yeah.
on the 7th?
yeah.
Sure.
No, I know I jumped ahead this week. Do you have Gene's update on here? Because I want to make sure we really go over this.
I did not put that on there, but we can
Call it
certainly
old
squeeze
business
it in.
because this
Yeah.
is what Shirley asked
Absolutely.
for.
Yep. Want to hop down there? Because really, I think any changes to the evaluation process are going to really dovetail in with implementing any evaluation criteria changes too, so.
I have to take a call at 2, but I'll come back after I do. This is Gene to explain.
Well, you've already gone through it once though, right?
No,
Last meeting, oh, you haven't?
We haven't seen any of this yet.
Oh, okay. So Matt asked me for the pay-as-you-go capital. I separate the capital into 2 sections, long-term and pay-as-you-go. So this is the status of where that stands for all these special articles in pay-as-you-go capital. Some of these are a little old. Maybe just, you'll notice the GASB 34 and 45. We haven't completed that yet. Economic development incentive.
if we just slow down.
Oh,
So-
sorry.
So you still need this.
We still need that, yes.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
So this is not available, is really what I'm saying,
Correct.
for anything.
Economic development, I'm not sure where you stand with that.
I'm surprised that there's anything here.
Got it, I'll see where the funding came from.
I think I've shared with everybody my philosophy is no more studies, no more,
I agree, I mean, 3
Agreed.
years in a row.
yeah, we're done.
Money put out for studies, and I couldn't get an answer as to what got done.
We're talking the economic development studies?
Yeah. And it basically the same old thing.
Well, the answer was what they got done wasn't very good work, and I wasn't really enthusiastic about trashing people I hardly knew at the time.
Yeah.
Because then we're talking about WBDC and these
Okay.
outside entities that were brought in. And frankly, I think with the EDC we have now, because we have very capable people on that committee,
Mhm.
we have any number of people on the Board of Selectmen who have a background in both corporate side and public side. And the staff here, we don't need any more of this. So I don't know what this could be reprogrammed for. Do you turn it back?
Typically, when they're in this type of category, we use them as a funding source for something else. So this would be available funds for the capital article.
Anything or something short, like a shorter life or,
Anything.
okay.
You know, so we use it as a potential funding source
Oh, he's
for
not
the
here to kick you
pay-as-you,
under the table.
for the pay-as-you-go type,
Yeah.
not to be put back into operating.
No,
So a non-reoccurring item is what I would propose.
But would it have to pertain to economic development?
No, a town meeting has to transfer it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, so it does not have to,
Okay.
everything here has to be voted at town
Sure.
meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes at the end of the year, if I find out, you know, the town meeting has gone through and it's a large enough sum, I keep the project open until the next town meeting, so that we can transfer at town meeting, it doesn't close into free cash.
Okay. Yep.
So the $1 was a placeholder for the Sullivan property.
we might need that dollar.
Excellent.
Right, Matt. I know what
Might
that
be
is.
going up to $1.50.
Then that requires a supplement appropriation.
I knew you were gonna say it. Always there with the snippy answer.
All right.
I'm one of 7 kids. Should give you a little insight.
Maybe we could raise the couch cushions and fine for them.
There's no,
Yay.
On camera now.
John, you can handle that one?
I got it. I got it.
Gilboa Street, I think we're still, this is another one of those things that, this was recorded. Do we,
I have not received invoices for either one of these articles.
but that's a project, that's ongoing. So there's activity there.
Street lighting is still,
This is subdivision parcel.
those are both at the same town meeting. We were at the fall town meeting
This year or last year?
last year.
All right, so this is the, oh gosh, Crescent? No? There were a couple, these are
Yeah, was it-
remainders at the end of streets.
Was it Stonewall Court, one of them? And
Yeah,
I'd have to look.
but these are still active
Mhm.
projects.
Right.
So,
Street lighting is still active. I'm still receiving invoices on that. The financial software, the 1275, can be closed.
Can be closed, so it can be used.
Correct. Community development.
So, streetlights, we didn't, I don't think we did sorry, Gene.
That's okay.
A report to the selectmen is due on this. So where do we stand? The project is complete. I think there's a couple of pieces sitting on
Couple,
the highway
yeah,
barn
there is.
because there was a request for a shield.
The shield, and there's a
Some
couple of lights
floodlights.
out that they're gonna fix and finish one floodlight at my place.
So the project's completed. We're in a little bit of a holding pattern with grid on portion of the savings. And I'm not having it, just so you know. And I'm gonna take a page from Gene's book, which is, you have to roll us over to the new usage rate or reimburse us after you recalculate. So what they do, they don't actually meter, they estimate. And what they're, to punish us for converting our lights, they wanna say they're gonna drag their feet on switching us over. My response to that is, I don't think Massachusetts general law allows us to pay for something we haven't received. So I'm not gonna pay for,
Well, it
sign off
causes
on
problems.
200
Yeah.
kilowatt hours of electricity that town didn't ever receive. Because they couldn't get their billing system to catch up with their transactions. It's not our fault, that's grid's problem. The other piece of this project that, may end up being a public discussion is, one of the vendors was slow in supplying the installer. So the installer has submitted a change order for a downtime, which is perfectly fair. They had their crews here and they couldn't work for several days. So we've made demand of the supplier to pay that change order. It's not trivial.
Well, they should, yeah.
Not trivial, it's about $14,000. Overall, the project is a huge success.
And this is only one piece of that. So we do have a Green Communities grant that's in the grant.
Sure. Yeah, in the final
So this
analysis, assuming that the vendor makes good on this demand from the town, with this will balance out as we discussed at town meeting. It won't be trailing expense. It'll all be funded out of the grant. Now I'll shut up.
I think the new sidewalk is going, It's been on here for a while.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's supposed to go this year according to, talking to the town engineer.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Where is this gonna be?
from Sunset Drive down through Franklin Street onto Main Street.
We've been talking about that for years.
Yeah.
It's 11 years old.
Yes.
Okay.
Can't rush good things.
And this amount has been budgeted all that time?
Correct. So it's voted as a project. So until the project's complete, it
That
stays in its
on the-
account.
Gotcha, okay.
Or
Has it
until
kept
something
up with
happens.
inflation and the
Well, that's
cost?
the question, right?
My only question, and this may not be the best form for it, but in the town's investment policy, I mean, is this money was raised from taxpayer, right? We don't get any return by putting it even in the most modest federally insured account?
Well,
One
that's a town-
percent?
Well, it gets some interest.
So it isn't
Oh,
an
it's an
interest-bearing account?
account.
Okay. So really, it could be more than 58,440 right now, or is
No,
this
no,
the
it-
running balance?
No, this account doesn't accumulate the interest, the general fund gets the interest.
All right.
So it's part of our local
So
receipts at that
when-
point.
In your local receipts, your interest income would include,
Interest from
Interest of these.
this.
so
correct.
budgeting going forward, if as these funds are actually finally spent out, that small piece of the budget will go away. All right, I get it.
MS4 compliance is still ongoing.
What is MS4 compliance?
Stormwater compliance.
It's federal
That was just
regulated,
speaking
it's a
about-
real pain in the neck, but it was given,
lot-
it was gifted.
It's
to
Right up
us.
there with backflow
It's,
preventers.
yeah. I'll be honest with you, this is worse.
Oh,
far.
my gosh.
And Adam, you can take the next one,
Yes,
two,
fire alarm
3,
system
4,
is still
5.
ongoing.
Oh,
The air duct cleaning should be done. I actually had that scheduled for last year, but we ended up doing windows, and I said, well, there's no sense in causing dust and cleaning the air ducts and then causing dust and then
So
doing.
still to be used.
Yes.
yeah.
Those two. The AC units are still in process of discussion.
Well, where am I?
Yeah. Did we miss page 4
Did
there?
I miss one? I maybe I missed one.
Yeah, you gotta turn the page over.
3, oh yeah, 4, I'm sorry. There you go. Okay,
Gym door replacement
door replacement, we are completed with the gym door replacement.
done, so that balance
Yep,
is.
that balance is available.
And I have all the bills on that?
You do.
Excellent.
Gym windows is in process.
So the asbestos analysis on that didn't come out of this?
Yeah, so this 95,000, we had 10,000 that was separate, that was just for engineering, that was the first piece they gave us,
All
was
right.
just to have it tested. So the 95 was just for the construction, the 10,000 was for engineering or asbestos.
Well, that's good. I was fearful that this 95 would be
Yeah.
diminished.
Nope,
Okay.
nope, we're definitely good, so, then the police department windows, we haven't even discussed it at building facilities
Right.
yet, but it is on the radar.
Yep.
The municipal air.
Well, we have, we're going back and forth
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with GRLA,
Yeah,
and there are different opinions.
right.
I think we favor,
That happens?
we favor the
Yes.
opinion that says we don't need any more. I'm having Saturday night live flashbacks. We don't need any more drawings of these windows. They are, 4 years old drawings, but I don't think that they're so, Verika did a fantastic job with the existing set of drawings, and I would say roll the dice rather
So,
than
so
spend
this
another.
hasn't been done yet?
No.
No, so these are the downstairs windows in the police department.
That only
We
got
didn't
approved
have
last
any
year.
money.
They were,
So
yeah,
but
this is
we're
last year.
contemplating a new police department,
No.
but putting the windows into the old building?
Well, our building is our
This is
building.
this
is
building.
still-
Well,
it's a
this is-
building.
Okay,
yeah,
still
this
gonna be
is-
the building,
yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
but when they go to the new building, they'll take those windows.
Well, I just thought these were maybe bulletproof,
No, no, no.
one-way
Regular
No.
window, just like this. They'll be similar
I
to the
mean,
same ones right here.
This
Gotcha.
building will still be used.
Of course.
I'm actually hoping to have an office someday that is not across from the men's room.
That has a window?
There's
That
two
has
cells
pri-
down there.
Get that in.
Hey, there's two cells down there.
Please.
You can have one of them.
Maybe a little
We
privacy
can
and.
vote that in at the town
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, I don't know, just maybe go
What,
off.
the jail
for it,
cell?
yeah.
You can have your jail cell.
You could just
You
put one of
probably
those-
like it and
I
keep
thought you were
everybody
out.
19.
You could just put one of those tall cubicle dividers so you can't,
Yes.
Oh, gosh, my call. All right, let me see if I can, you know what I'm trying to get to though is
What's
some
available?
sense at the end what's available, so I'll be right back.
Municipal air conditioning units, we have discussed this. We are working on, there may be a little hiccup with it, but trying to work through it.
I'll write that down, hiccup.
Yeah. Any project I have, write hiccup next to it, 'cause it seems like that's a
So this is
pattern.
still open,
That is still open, yes,
Yeah.
that is still open.
not done.
I don't know.
The police water renovation is, I will talk with the chief, but that one should be able to be closed out now. The
The
1,006, no, cruises is at 0. This is the 1,631. You go down one more.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep,
The fire washer, I believe I just had the final bill, that's gonna be 0, so there's gonna be no money
so
available.
this is done.
Actually, I will let the chief talk about the next 4.
What do we have here?
Portable radios.
Those have been ordered, they should be coming in, they just gotta get programmed. And, let's see, fire station exhaust system is done.
Is this, am I waiting for a bill, or is,
You
This-
might have already paid that.
so you close 6736 is available?
I'm gonna say, probably.
I'll check with Lisa on that.
So you're saying this is done?
That the
Yeah.
repairs are made.
The repairs are made and
I just wanna make sure I received all the
Sure.
invoicing.
Yep.
it's operating the way it should.
I think you saved us a lot of money by changing the ambulance, and that's,
I changed the,
Right.
I
Yeah, we
moved
talked
the
about that
exhaust
last
systems
week.
to the opposite sides, so we didn't have to move the hoses and stuff, because I just figured
saved money.
it was easier to do that than,
Yep.
can't move a hose every time you get a new truck. So, so that's done. Cardiac monitors, I believe, defibrillators,
I think that's done.
those are done, but we were chasing the contract from them before we could pay it, right?
No, that's on the, it's further down.
Oh, that's those are cardiac monitors, so, I believe that's done.
Yeah, I believe so too.
That's over a year old. Ambulance
You've done that.
is done. Defibrillators
That's the one I was chasing the contract
are
on.
done.
Waterways doesn't pertain to, it's, again, this is just a special article, so it's in here, but that's gonna be fully expended.
The which one?
The waterways dive
Okay.
rescue?
For the
Yep.
divers.
That's done?
No, it's gonna be fully expended, it's here, but,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
They haven't spent the money
they
yet.
haven't spent the money.
Okay,
They don't typically, they zero it out at the end.
right, okay.
The school tractor, I believe, is done, I will
I
get a
think
letter.
she said that last week. when she-
Yeah, I'll get a
Yeah.
letter from them. The same with the Douglas High School AC compressor, should be all set.
That's done, you said, right?
There were
Yeah.
some issues with the card reader, she said, right? That's why that's sort of hanging out
She gave
there.
that to us when she came in, you can have that,
Oh, thank you.
as a copy of that, whether or not it's.
So the card reader is issued, so it's,
Yeah.
they have spent some on it, right? So there's available budget of 3,000
Right.
plus?
And again, until the project's completed, I would
Sure.
hesitate to say
Yeah.
any funds are available.
Right.
The water booster is done, I think I just paid that bill last week. So that should be all set.
Did we do? It won't.
security
Did we do
cameras?
the
Oh.
security cameras? Yeah.
That's fully encumbered, it hasn't been completed, but the money's been put aside. So,
Yeah, I don't think
from
that-
her projection, it looks like it's going to be fully expended.
Yeah, Yeah, they haven't completed it yet, they were waiting on the cameras, if I remember
Sure,
right, to come in.
okay.
And it looks like,
So the,
the booster pumper may have one more invoice, because she projected 27,967, and we've only expended 25, so there must be another invoice scheduled to come in.
So not yet completed. Or it's completed but not,
I haven't paid all the bills yet.
so will be expended, right?
Not all, but partial. There'll be some
It'll
residual
be
on
pretty
that.
close.
Okay. Say done.
But every penny helps, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, right? They all know that. Primary school security, she says preparing final bid specs, so we don't have any information on that. I'll let John speak about the next two.
The highway brush chipper, we have the brush chipper itself. We're waiting for some safety equipment that comes with it. It's state of the art. I'll explain it real quick. There's a safety feature just very new to the market. So if anyone either falls in hands first or feet first, it shuts the machine down. You wear bracelets on each arm and on your ankles,
Their RF chip.
and it shuts down the chipper itself. It just came on the market in January,
Mhm.
so we're trying to get it retrofitted, the new chipper. It's like $4,000 for the whole thing, but I'm waiting for that to come.
But you do have the chipper.
We do. And
Does
we've
it have
used
some sort of a fail-safe so that if
It's-
the person doesn't have that on,
It
can
does,
operate?
it does. There's at least two safety features on the rear of it, but this is, if you're wearing the bracelets or the ankle, and I hate to even talk that way, that
No,
would
of
ever
course.
happen, but it'll shut the machine right down, so,
Might have to put one in a beanie or something.
yeah.
I'm saying the head.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Nobody needs a head.
Take the bracelets off in the next guy.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be more than $4,000,
All right, so there's some residual.
yeah.
When do you expect that invoice to come in?
I haven't been confirmed that it's, the order's ready, so within a month or so, we should, because he told me the end of January it would be ready.
How's our asphalt hot box doing?
It's good, it's back here, we had a little issue with a ground problem that they fixed for us, no problem. And you'll see the potholes after today's rain, so we'll be using it tomorrow.
So this can close.
So that
the
can
15th.
close, yep. The 2 dump trucks are purchased and all equipped, so you can close those out as well.
And we still have some available budget in?
We do, because we had a lot more on the trade-ins than we thought we were gonna get. Yep.
The library heat and weathering, that was completed last week. So again, this is all connected to the street lighting, Green Communities grant, so I won't have a final invoice on that probably till the end of January. Oh, which is next week,
Which,
maybe the beginning of February.
Which one are you on?
That's the library
Oh, okay.
heat and
Yep.
weatherization.
Hey, can I go back for a second on the dump trucks? When we have money left, is it like blasphemous to bring up the topic of just buying the maintenance materials that you're gonna need for this over time and adding
I
it to
don't
that?
know that,
No,
Is that not
this is,
kosher?
no.
Okay. Just wondering. Hey, I come from the private sector.
Yeah,
We
this is
do all
not-
kinds of funny
I like your
things.
thinking.
Yeah,
Talk to Jean for a while.
let's get some
I just
pistons and
don't know if it
oil.
was
Tires.
kosher or not.
She'll beat you down in no time. That's
This always comes up.
That does.
Doesn't
I have
Is it
three.
in the article?
That's right.
That's right.
How did you word it? Don't worry.
Yes.
That's
So
right.
next
And
article,
accompanying.
With or without
All,
flying.
all associated costs.
tires, oil filters,
Exactly.
oil.
Right,
Good.
right, okay.
I don't
She's
really
good.
need to be here. No, I really have
We can-
not.
we
You train them well.
Yes.
I
I
really-
tell you, I stand up for her, because
Yeah.
I know
She
she's
does.
good.
They can just press the little button, this is what Jean would say.
Yes.
Little Staples button.
Yes, yes.
Hey, she keeps track of our money.
Yeah. The Historical Commission, I've been very patient on this one. I think we're gonna get a hold of them if they don't, I mean, I've been carrying this for a year. This was a must-have at the time. I took a beating from the
Commission.
Finance Committee
Right?
because we put it on a special town meeting and not the annual town meeting, and it's because they had to have it. This is going back, so I think I'm going to make the decision that if it doesn't get spent this year, it's gone.
What was it initially for?
Oh, a project they were doing, and they had to have, there was a timeline associated, I'm telling, it's going back years.
It's history.
Well, you know,
No,
that could
no.
pay for next year's code red messaging system. It's around the same
Well,
price.
this
It's
is
not
not
recurring.
the historical building or
Oh,
the
no.
society down there. This is the commission, the
Yeah, this is
historical
Oh.
commission.
A project they needed to complete by a certain period of time. And like I said, I went to bat for them because they wanted them the special town meeting, not the annual, so,
How about sending them a letter?
yeah. I'm trying to think of, that was very tall.
David Metz.
And Cable Studio, that's the next one. That fund comes from the Cable Receipts Reserved for Appropriation account, so that would not be available to us anyways. They had put this money here in hopes that they could do the Cable Studio on the second floor of this
Can we
building.
just put that money in the general fund?
That would be a negative, but thank you for asking.
So
It's a nice round number, though.
that still sits there.
It's still, again, we're waiting for the second floor, because I think they'd be willing to proceed with that project if we had, permission to use the second floor.
But they were even willing to donate money towards the second floor for.
Not donate money, they were willing to
However you
help,
put it,
yeah.
fund the money, fund the.
Allocate a percentage of,
See how she
Oh, I
corrects
meant-
my wording? I didn't even use that right.
Boy,
No, wait a minute, now you're getting
Who
too
do we
picky.
have to
I know.
ask
So-
for use of the second floor?
was a fire code issue, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were set to go
So,
upstairs.
it was
They
a
had a
cha-
preschool up there, but we can't put 8 adults.
Change of use triggers a lot of code changes. Unfortunately, the code changes that it triggers is sprinkling the second floor. We have a sprinkler system on the first floor. When the kids were up there, we needed a 1-hour fire break in 1996, when they built it. So the problem with that is our water main that comes in ties off to our domestic water, which isn't allowed anymore, and it's
Right.
undersized. So in order to do it, you gotta start at the street, come back in and come up. So.
And I would
it's-
imagine, because of the age of the building, that once you start getting into it, you get a bunch of ADA compliance stuff
So
too?
we have an
We have
elevator.
an elevator.
So we're good. The school did all that when in '96 when they did
Okay, good.
the renovation. The only thing is the water main itself, which I have on my capital. I keep it running. It'll still be on this year. A renovation, and it's always the architecture. and
It just
engineering
seemed
stuff.
odd to me that we had
But
to
the
ask
sprinkler
permission.
upstairs too, on top of that, is a lot of money.
Yeah, the whole
go-
thing
Oh, yeah.
itself was, I think just the water main alone with sprinklers was $300,000 or more.
We're always trying to get a special ruling so
Appeal,
that we wouldn't
yeah.
have to do that.
Yeah.
I think,
know.
yeah,
Mike-
to the sprinkler appeals board, and it hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
Because we
I don't think
haven't
it's ever been
pursued it.
filed.
No,
Oh, we haven't.
Mike was gonna do it, and I never heard from him.
Mike left,
kind
so I don't
of
know
dropped
what
it.
happened.
No, I don't think we kind of left it alone for a while after.
Other than that, we were gonna do minimum work.
Yeah.
Again, it was just to take some pressure off this floor
Yeah.
because we're pretty jammed in
Mostly
here.
storage and.
Yeah, right now it's
Well, we
only
were gonna move
storage.
people
Oh,
up
okay.
Yeah.
so that we could expand down here and give us a little more breathing room.
And isn't it ironic that fire goes up?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Chief knows that.
But you also, you had 77 kindergarten kids,
You
and you're
did.
maybe putting in 5 adults
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
How's that any
doesn't
different?
seem-
No.
Really.
Because this was an existing school, that's why it stayed the same.
So the children are like less priority.
It's, I know, the way it made it sound anyway. But the change of use is what triggered it all, I guess.
Don't get me started on carbon monoxide detectors in schools.
here we go, you had to do
I
it.
did.
It's all Adam's fault.
Yeah, it is on all levels.
All right, so
I have another problem.
does anybody have any advice, concerns on changes to the evaluation process? Or do you want me to just sort of sit with Matt over that and sort of-
Yeah, I think Matt has a
Yeah, I
good
think
grasp
we're-
of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And it covers, but I think, in a more concise way of what we were really trying to get at. I mean, some of it is what we already had, but it's more, it's worked up.
Chief, can I
Yeah.
have
It's a
one?
little bit more precise.
Yes.
You mind if I hold on?
No, I get you, that's fine. I think I've got another one at the station. I like that one, though. I think
I
if you
do.
just add a couple more questions strategically,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it is a one-size-fits-all kind of approach,
And I like the
but
fact that
it has enough,
it just awards 4, 3, 2, or 1 point. And
right?
Yeah,
And again, we can always edit it another year, trial this year, see what happens for next year.
Because remember, we'd go right down and we'd add up, okay, that's
Yeah.
5, oh, that
34.
doesn't get that one.
We have 7 different answers.
It's like a 41, a
Yeah, we're on
82,
TV, that's
it's
so
like,
embarrassing.
oh my.
You could put a 5 in there for just broken, doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
plus the fact that public health and safety is in there, which
Right.
we had been left off last year when we first started,
Right.
but it's
What's
there.
available.
Yeah.
There's nothing available.
No, there was at least $7,100. Where'd you guys spend it?
Boy, you didn't fall for that.
With Gene's approval.
Nope, they already got the, they
That
already
means
got
we
the
didn't
little
spend
extra.
So Matt, we've scheduled the 7th, right, at 1 o'clock, and so that's 2 weeks from now. So,
That might be an opportunity for the water commission too, it's 2 weeks away. They don't wanna
Maybe-
have a quorum, they should maybe they should send Bob, but
Bob or Colin or somebody, you
Mm.
know, Colin might be able to
Only
guide
have
us a
one.
little bit. So,
I think Bob, along with maybe one
yeah.
of the commission,
right,
because, you know, he knows the day-to-day, hands-on, you
right.
know.
So, perhaps you and I could meet and go over any changes in the evaluation process, the criteria, or how we're gonna do the process, if we decide to go with that and just score the highest you're gonna get is 4 points, type of thing, and we can talk about that, but.
Yeah,
um,
well, I thought, in my notes, I have, draft a template
Mhm.
for the
Perfect.
evaluation sheet, so.
That's
All right.
perfect.
And then we can look at it and vote on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I vote for it. All right.
Well, wait a minute.
Did you see it?
You'll be the first one. Uh-oh,
Early
what about
voting,
this?
it's early voting.
Early voting.
It's out in the hall down the hall.
Go see the town clerk.
Okay.
All right, so,
We did old business, right?
we'll hold off,
Was there a total up?
No,
No.
no.
we'll hold
Still-
off.
Is there any juicy chunks in here?
Yeah, the dump
The one,
trucks.
the one to 550s,
Oh, yeah.
whatever's left there.
And there's some stuff left over from the exhaust system in the fire station.
Jim Dawes.
I will receive, I'll get it, send a memo to, or an email to the departments asking for a memo from you that it's okay to
Close it
close
out.
that out.
Okay.
Oh, and the chipper closed out with a
Yeah.
big balance too. Are you
Yeah,
gonna
well-
hold some of that back for the safety device?
I am. That
Where do we
did,
stand with that?
they were manufactured in January, so I'm
Okay.
waiting to hear back from him he gave me a rough estimate of like 3,800 to outfit 4 guys with all the safety equipment,
All right, cool.
which is that's huge.
Did we
Yeah.
find out on the old business side of things, did we find out if we were gonna be able to adhere to the departmental needs that we asked for in the previous meeting?
Oh, so the instructions just went out.
Yeah, the
Yesterday?
instructions have been out for about a week and a half. Tomorrow's the deadline.
Yeah.
So all the capital,
We put the deadline earlier, remember? So-
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We knew we'd get a little slippage.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Okay.
so, if anybody's opposed, I mean, I would suggest we hold off scheduling departments till we meet in 2 weeks.
Well, I think we need to, need to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
everything in
Yeah.
order
Right.
to
Exactly.
be able
Yeah,
to
we've still got
evaluate.
time.
Yep.
We've got time.
And we may wanna readjust something, hopefully not.
But there's a lot to read, so I think as they come in, Suzanne and I can assemble them and
Yeah.
try to distribute them so you have some familiarity.
Did the finance committee vote to have someone on this committee yet?
No.
And they're meeting the 12th, so we can ask them one more time.
Hmm.
The meetings are generally on Thursday at 1 o'clock.
It's a good time for me anyways.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the other thing is maybe the people that weren't here today could get some of this information and,
Yeah, I'll scan some of it over and send it to Ellie
so
and
that they're
Brandon.
aware. Yeah.
So,
Very good.
Any old business? Any new business?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second?
Motion made by John, seconded by Shirley. Any discussion? All
Aye.
in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Gene, you wanna stick around?
I don't have